Once again, I would like to reiterate just how impressive it is that Zoro has made it up to this ripe old age in life. I'm not sure exactly how old he is, but considering the way he acts and the decisions he makes, it's still impressive. One Piece Chapter 16 versus Buggy's Pirate Fleet might be a bit of a misnomer. It depends on how you look at it. If by versus Pirate Fleet you mean going against every single member of Buggy's crew, then no, it's an incorrect statement. If by versus Buggy Fleet you mean fighting against everybody who could fight at the moment, then it's closer. It's not 100%, but it's closer. I'd say it's at 75%. And the reason for this is, like in the last chapter we saw, there was an explosion. And like any explosion with a bunch of people around, most people aren't, up and ready to do stuff afterwards. Instead of, celebrating this fact, thanks to Luffy, Nami's angry at Luffy and she wants to know what he is. Luffy tells her the name of the attack, which is not what she asked, and she points this out, but we don't have time to go deeper into him explaining it because there's laughter coming from the bodies and we see a few of them rise. Someone says, you're acting like you shouldn't be scared. And first thought I got was zombies, because you see that they're covered in burns and their eyes are not the eyes of healthy people. Richie's up too, which is, I know Richie wasn't super tough against Luffy, but it's still a lion. I'd be scared of a zombie lion. I'd be scared of a zombie bird. Actually, I think I'd be more scared of zombie birds than I would of zombie lions, because there's birds everywhere, and a lion, you can get around it, or you can... Yeah, I would be more afraid of zombie birds. But you find out that they're not zombies. In fact, you find out that they're not actually even threats. What it was is Buggy and Kabaji, they used their crew members as human shields. So I guess after the explosion, Maji finally woke up. I don't know how he wasn't hurt further in the explosion, but apparently he's just super lucky that it just... somehow with him on the ground right there with everybody else, he managed not to be hurt further. So he wakes up and he's like, well, what happened? Oh yeah, that's right. Sir, you need to be careful with that kid. He ate a devil fruit and he's a rubber man. And everything starts clicking. Nami understands why he can do what he can do, so she doesn't freak out when Luffy pulls his face open. Buggy understands exactly why everything's been going the way it is and how his cannonball was bounced back. And he gets angry. And so he grabs Maji and he's like, okay, if you understood why didn't you tell me? And he threw Maji. And this is what really impressed me about Maji, but I'm an easy guy to impress. Maji says, but I did. He was just thrown and he's flying and he has enough sense to argue. I would scream. No, I wouldn't even scream. I would be too panicked and too desperate and too freaked out, which is the same as being panicked. I know, I'm rambling. I would just suck in air or push out air. I'd focus on my breathing. The thinking about it, I'm panicking because I don't like heights. So, like now, but there, I would just be thinking, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. You don't want to pass out before you hit something, which in itself could prove useful because you won't be awake for the pain. But anyways, he throws him at Luffy, and Luffy, he just kicks him aside like nothing. It turns out that Buggy and his men aren't complete idiots, at least some of them, because they can work together. While Luffy was busy kicking aside Maji, and see, I don't know why he kicked aside Maji, because Maji isn't a complete evil asshole. Buggy might be. Kabaji seems that he's going to be one, but Maji isn't. When he woke up and he saw what happened to Richie, he was pissed. And even though he was furious with what happened earlier when he was trying to get the dog food, because he was bitching about being bit in the hand, he didn't ever have Richie go as far as killing Shushu, which would have been easy. I think what it was is that Maji just likes animals. He should have really been kicked aside like that. I say just stepping aside and letting him fly by. But then, if Luffy had done that, the distraction wouldn't have worked, because really, the whole point of Buggy throwing Maji wasn't because he was angry. It was to distract it long enough for Kabaji to get to Luffy and stab him. Zoro intervenes though, because it's a sword fight, and that's Zoro's thing. And he tells him, hey, if you wanna fight with a sword, I'm in. I'm game. Let's go. Kabaji's like, it'll be an honor to slay you. Luffy, to his credit, he says, hey, are you okay? You sure you don't want me to step in? Zoro doesn't. So the fight begins. And normally I like tricksters. I think tricksters are a lot of fun. I think tricksters are enjoyable to watch because they don't fight fair. Okay, so Kabaji might not be my favorite trickster because he seemed too straightforward to be a real trickster. There's another anime that I watched, and there was this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he formed the Shimpaku Alliance, and he acted like an alien, but he couldn't fight. He would always plan two steps ahead. Like, he would get his opponent to follow him, and then he would undress so he could keep running, and he would lure him to like a deep pit that he planned on jumping submit in. Like, that's a fun trickster, but this is too straightforward for me personally to be a good trick. What does he do? He blows fire in Zoro's face, and then he kicks him in the gut. Nami calls it cheap, and they go at it again. This time Kabaji does missed, and he takes a swing at Zoro. Zoro already saw what was going to happen, but Zoro didn't think 3 steps ahead, because once Zoro dodged blocked the attack, Kabaji, he kicked him with his shoe. Of course, Oda has to have him wearing a wingtip just to add insult to injury. It hurts. So Zoro, he's on the ground writhing in pain. Kabaji's making fun of a man writhing in pain because he's a grown man, and apparently grown men can't writhe in pain. I haven't done it in a while, but if I had a gut wound and I was kicked, I would writhe until somebody came and gave me something that would make me forget the world existed. Zoro gets annoyed. He's tired of this, so he knocks Kabaji aside with one hand. And he tells Kabaji, you like kicking my wound, do ya? This is nothing. And so he slices the wound even deeper, and he huffs because it hurts, but he's still standing. Maybe he is using the pain, or maybe he just doesn't see Kabaji as enough of a threat to actually see the wound as a reason to stop. And he tells him, I'm going to show you the difference in our level of power. And Kabaji calls him an impudent fool. But here's the thing. If anybody here is a fool, it's Kabaji, because he's fighting a very, very well-renowned pirate hunter. And instead of killing him while he was down, he just sort of mocked him. If anybody's impudent and foolish, Kabaji, it is you at the end of this chapter. And so that was chapter 16. A lot of action, fun to watch, went by fast. But what I really liked is that we got to see exactly what Buggy's crew was. And I love it when there's a theme. So this theme is, of course, circus pirates. And if you remember earlier, in one of the earlier chapters, they were flipping around. It looked like little tumblers or whatever when they were attacking Nami. And so we have a Beastmaster, we have an acrobat, and finally clown. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. I would have never thought of making a circus-based pirate. What would I do? Like, if I were to do a theme pirate group, what would I do? Public servant might be interesting. Could do a teacher. Somebody. It would have to be female. I mean, it wouldn't have to be female, but it's just, I'm a pervert. I love the librarian look. A woman with glasses and a fancy blouse and a long skirt. Hair up in a bun. There would be a policeman who does tricks with a gun and a baton, and there would be a firefighter who he would deal with an axe and maybe and a hose, but he uses like a whip, and then when he's using the hose, he turns it on and it shoots like a water cannon type deal. The ones where they cut metal. That's what I would do. Here's my question for you guys: if you were gonna do a theme pirate crew, what would it be? And what kind of give me at least 3 members. So yeah, that's it for today. If you liked it, like it. If you have any feedback, comment. Share. You liked it, share. Didn't like it, share. If you're bored, share. Spread the word. Till tomorrow, have a good one.